Why do your fog lights turn off when you put your high beams on? Seems sort of a weird concept, isn't it? Modern cars, they want to be turned on first. And you're about to beep because the key's out of the car, right? There you go. You done? Headlights go on. Fog lights go on. High beams go on, fog lights go off. Why is this? Why can't I have my fog lights on when I want my high beams on? And you'd think that would be, well, that's for safety, that's just how they are. But not all countries are like this. And you'd think this may be universal across the world, but it isn't. Here's a 1995 Starlet from Japan. Here's its headlights. Here's its fog lights. There's its high beams. The fog lights don't turn off in Japan. You're allowed to run them. Well, that doesn't make sense. The reasoning in the United States that we're supposed to have our headlights turn off is like, well, okay, let's think about this. You put your fog lights on when it's foggy. And you don't run your high beams in the fog because the light just shines all back into your face with all the moisture in the air. True, that is the point of fog lights. They're meant to shine underneath the fog, lighting up the road, and you wouldn't want to run your high beams anyway. Just keep your low beams on. You've experienced this in the fog. You see better with your low beams on than you do with your high beams. But if you're like me and you grew up in rural Pennsylvania, there's other dangers out there besides fog. There's deer. And the one thing is about your normal driving lights is that they shine forward. But fog lights have a wide beam pattern. And one thing about deer is they don't wait for you. They will jump out in front of your car at the last second. So any more additional lighting, I want that. Why do you think everybody in the country is running around with those light bars in their car? Because I want to see, and you're not letting me do it with these fog lights. But Japan understands that people use fog lights for things other than inclement weather. Sometimes our high beams aren't enough. But there's also an interesting thing going on. Legislation, or rather modern legislation. In the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and in other states, there is a rule that says cars may not have dual driving lights. That word right there, driving lights. Not marker lights, not low beams, driving lights. Driving lights is a very old bit of language. You may have heard that old cars used to have your city horn and your country horn. They were a loud horn for out in the country and a more polite horn in the city. Early automobiles didn't have a difference between high beam and low beam, they were just lights. And of course, some of them were literally lanterns. But at some point, a piece of legislation came along that said cars in the United States can't have dual high beams. You cannot have more than two driving lights, high floodlights, pointing forward at the same time. The idea was you'd be blinding everybody. And into that legislation, fog lights were grouped. For whatever reason, because of the slipperiness of language, fog lights are considered driving lights in a way your low beams are not. That includes mechanical high and low beams like these Kia. Even though this thing uses a single filament and a shutter like in film, it doesn't use a high and low beam circuit. It simply opens up more of it simply has a shutter that comes down over the headlight and you can hear it. Because you notice there's no flicker in the light. There's only a shutter that's opening, allowing the full light to come out. But Japan, and also Germany, does not have any of this legislation. You notice something else, because the Starlet has double headlights, and if this isn't one single beam, these are individual separate ones, even though they exist between the same housing. They're allowed to run one for low beam and one for high beam. See? This thing has 6 lights facing forward. Oh my goodness, it's gonna blind everybody. These are 1990s headlights. The low beams on this Kia, even with the fog lights off, are throwing more light down the road than all 6 of these Johns put together. But one thing this does that the Kia doesn't is allow you to see the road in front of you. Euro-style amber fog lights. These things allow you to see if that, is that a stick approaching me, or is that a really deep pothole that's long and thin? Well, with these guys, you can see them right there. Frankly, I think the law needs to change and allow fogs to be run with high beams. Because that's the other thing about high beams. You eliminate your peripheral lighting. You eliminate your ability to see the road immediately in front of you. Well, are you supposed to look down the road? Yeah, but stuff can run in between the 30-yard synchronization point of these high beams and the road right in front of you where you may need to take evasive action, and also the deer hiding on either side of the embankment. Plus, I've noticed in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania that law enforcement is playing, they're not taking the light bar epidemic on pickup trucks all that seriously. Well, we got criminals and we got criminals. And if Mikey Winoski wants to run his light bar on his JK Jeep, more power to him. His mom's on the school board anyway. What do I want to make enemies? I have also heard that people will pull you over if they see your high beams on and your fogs on at the same time. But to be honest, in my experience, I've never seen it. It's like that bit from Shawshank Redemption. Really, how often do you pay attention to another man's shoes? How often do you pay attention to the other car that clearly dipped his headlights back to low beam? Because, right, you see the high brights coming around, and if the opposing driver has the smallest amount of human decency, they'll put their low beams on before they round the corner. And there's a normal car driving at you. Plus, when I owned a Toyota 4Runner, everybody on the 4Runner and the Tacoma forums said that, all you need is, a little bit of this, maybe one of these if you're fancy, and then you can have your fog lights. Oh, that fart was a liar. I hope that fart was that was wetter than I thought. Also, there's nothing stopping people from installing a second set of fog lights. So you have 4 fog lights. That's the way I did it with my Dodge Neon. I had my low beam fog lights and my high beam fog lights. But of course, what did I want then as a 20-year-old? To have all headlights burning. I have more space on the positive terminal on my battery. What do I care? So that's the reason why you can't have your fogs on when you have your high beams on. Good old language and legislation. It has nothing to do with your safety. It just has something to do with how the law was written and the wording in it. You cannot have dual driving lights. By the way, if you ever have those pants that have the rubber zipper covers on top of the zipper tabs, and you drive a white car, man, it looks like you get marks every time you brush up next to it. By the way, you're seeing this video, this was recorded weeks earlier. The winner of this Toyota Starlet GT Turbo has already been announced. I'll put him here or I'll put him here. By the time you're watching this, it's already gone off to the new owner. Did I take everything out of here? Yeah, I think all my stuff's out of here. So by the time this video has come out, we'll already have the next one. In fact, maybe I'll put a little teaser in it here. Thank you for watching. I need like a name for what these segments are gonna be. I'm thinking The Midnight Oil with Brian, or I'm Brian from Regular Car Reviews and this is The Midnight Oil. Release it on Wednesday.
For a second, we have a mini co-op giveaway going on for the C5 Corvette. This is in conjunction with another YouTuber, but if you want to continue to support Regular Car Reviews in between our main giveaways, you can enter for this C5 Corvette. Don't worry, you're still supporting Regular Car Reviews. And these giveaways help Regular Car Reviews keep functioning in this current age, 2026. The C5 is one of those Corvettes that bridges the 80s into the 20-teens. Yes, I know the C6 and C5, they're the same but different. And the C5 is the last USDM car and one of the last cars in the world to still use those beloved pop-up headlights. So click the link in the description or go to fanathem.com/regularcars, buy some limited edition merch, and someone's gonna win this beautiful late model C5 Corvette with the manual transmission.